It was late November, and the Christmas fever was well upon me. I thought about a Red Ryder air rifle in all of my waking hours, 7 days a week, in, school, and out. The initial symptoms of genuine lunacy, of mania, had set in.
That same mania has overtaken Christmas after Christmas with endless 24-hour movie marathons since the 1990s. It's A Christmas Story, based off author, actor, radio, and TV personality Jean Shepard's autobiography, In God We Trust, All Others Pay Cash, which is partly based on a collection of short stories that he wrote in the early 60s for Playboy magazine, of which scenes like sticking your tongue to a flagpole and eating Christmas dinner at a Chinese restaurant were taken directly from. That made this what some might say a golden holiday classic.
Hey kid, just where do you think you're going?
Going up to see Santa.
The line ends here. It begins there.
This is probably the story that Jean Shepard is famously most known for. However, it wasn't the only one made into a movie. In fact, several other of Shepard's pieces from his book have been turned into movies, with A Christmas Story not being the first or the last, but the second. I think overall, continuity has played a downfall in the works of Jean Shepard because of the crazy way these films came out, none of which were remotely titled the same, so you actually have to dive in and research it to have a chance to even know what order these films are supposed to be in. In 1982, PBS released the first film about the Parkers that was a made-for-TV movie entitled The Great American 4th of July and Other Disasters, that makes references to A Christmas Story that until this point hasn't even been filmed. However, Shepard's regular radio listeners would have been in on some of the references.
Now you heard me. You eat your breakfast. You're not old enough for cherry bombs.
My kid brother, Randy, his art form was the wine. You wanted to kill him.
You'll shoot your eye out.
Not to mention in this one, Ralphie's a teenager, and then, a year later, in the release of A Christmas Story, Ralphie's a kid. To add to the confusion, in 1988, Disney released a sequel to A Christmas Story entitled Ollie Hopnoodle's Haven of Bliss, in which Ralph is a man and a kid.
What? Can I help?
Are you kidding?
And finally, after 10 years after the Parkers made their first major film appearance in A Christmas Story, a direct sequel was made in 1994, set in the summer following those events from A Christmas Story, entitled It Runs in the Family, but was later retitled My Summer Story.
A kid gave it to me. A big kid. By the candy store.
A big kid by the candy store gave you Boccaccio's Decameron.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when the age of the characters, the settings, and even the cast members are changing consistently, you can't expect the film to appeal to more than those who are in on Shepard's stories. Maybe if they had all been released in storybook order with a consistent cast, these films might have held their own among moviegoers as one of the most solid franchises in movie history. Unfortunately, because of the mentioned flaws, these other stories have become less than memorable. But A Christmas Story still holds its own, reflecting the traditional surroundings of an American Christmas as stated on the poster. Set in the fictional town of Holman, Indiana, a spin-off of Shepard's own hometown of Hammond, Indiana, which parts of the film are actually filmed in, but very few at that. For the most part, the film was made in Cleveland, Ohio, where the actual home that was used in the movie resides, and in 2006 was purchased by a fan that converted it into a living monument for the movie, recreating the house scene by scene for people to actually come and visit. A side note, to their credit, the fans of this movie are incredible, and that's an understatement considering how much they've done to add to the legacy and continue to research its heritage. Like mega fans Tyler and Jordy, who visited more than 15 locations in Canada and Cleveland and produced a documentary on their trip. Or fans who just simply deck out their home for the holidays in custom A Christmas Story decorations. It's just stunning. But back to the story. It follows young Ralphie Parker, who only wants one thing for Christmas, a Red Ryder BB gun, but is consistently told by everybody,
You'll shoot your eye out.
But Ralphie continues his quest to influence someone enough to make a case for what he wants for the holidays, starting by telling his parents.
No. Shoot your eye out.
Doing a book report for his teacher.
You'll shoot your eye out! You'll shoot your eye out!
And finally, asking Santa Claus.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
And then, to add to his holiday dilemma, gets hit in the face by a snowball, followed by a good taunting from local bully, Scott Fargus, which finally brings Ralphie to a boiling point and comes out wailing on Fargus.
Ralphie, did you hear what he said?
Oh yeah, that's an underlining theme of the movie, is cursing. Without this mumble-jumble cursing that is predominantly featured by his father in his battles with the family furnace.
You shot and shift to passerby! You snort hunger! Laymonger snack yourself!
Which eventually rubs off on Ralphie.
Oh.
Speaking of his father, he's a character at that. In fact, this leg lamp that he wins, which for some reason has been made into an actual lamp that I occasionally see outside of people's windows during the holidays, origins are quite interesting. It was inspired by a logo that was used for knee-high soda, a drink that was commonly sold at gas stations in the 60s in the state of Indiana, and that obviously where the old man got his major award from. As stated earlier, the fandom for this flick is unreal, which makes it into a holiday classic unlike any other. Don't get me wrong, I like the movie, which is why we included it in this countdown. But there's just something about those mass 24-hour movie marathons where you repeatedly see Ralphie getting the bunny costume, or seeing the witch in the classroom, or Randy doing that piggy thing and playing with his food that, well, just makes me sick to my stomach.
That is the classic story from In God We Trust, All Others Pay Cash, that we read every winter at the same time, every Christmas Eve. It's entitled Duel in the Snow, or Red Ryder Nails the Cleveland Street Kid. My God, there's something they know. Be careful.